What if I told you the Ottoman Empire, one of the biggest, strongest empires in the world, was scared of someone even more than Dracula? Yep. More than Vlad the Impaler. And the crazy part is, this guy wasn't a monster from a story. He was a real ruler. A real warrior. And he made the Ottomans so angry that their greatest sultan came to fight him personally. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why Stephen the Great became the Ottoman Empire's biggest headache. Alright, let's jump in. So first, let's talk about Dracula. Dracula, also known as Vlad the Impaler, is famous because he was extremely cruel. He punished his enemies in horrible ways, and people were terrified of him. And yes, he did fight the Ottomans too. But here's the difference. Dracula scared people because he was brutal. Stephen the Great scared people because he was smart. And trust me, being smart can be way more dangerous than being scary. Now, the Ottoman Empire was not just some random kingdom. They were like the superpower of the world back then. They had huge armies, powerful weapons, and they were conquering land left and right. They even took Constantinople, one of the most important cities in history. Most places couldn't stop them. If the Ottomans showed up, it usually meant game over. But Stephen the Great ruled a small country called Moldavia. And Moldavia wasn't big. It wasn't rich. It didn't have the biggest army. So normally, you'd expect the Ottomans to crush Moldavia easily. But Stephen didn't play fair. And that's what made him so dangerous. In the year 1475, the Ottomans sent a massive army to invade Stephen's land. Imagine this like a giant school bully showing up with 20 friends, ready to steal your lunch, take your seat, and push you around. Stephen looked at the huge Ottoman army and basically said, "Okay, I can't beat them by strength. So I'll beat them with brains." Instead of fighting them right away, Stephen did something sneaky. He burned food supplies so the Ottoman soldiers couldn't eat. He destroyed bridges so they couldn't move easily. He poisoned wells so they couldn't drink water. Basically, he made his country a nightmare to walk through. Then he lured the Ottoman army into a place called Vaslui. And Vaslui was muddy, foggy, cold, hard to see in. It was the perfect trap. When the Ottomans marched in, Stephen attacked. And it was chaos. The Ottomans couldn't see clearly. They got lost. They couldn't hear orders properly. Stephen's soldiers attacked from different directions like shadows in the mist. It was like the forest itself was fighting them. And the Ottomans lost badly. This battle became one of their most embarrassing defeats. Even the Pope in Rome heard about it and called Stephen a hero. But here's where it gets really interesting. When you embarrass someone powerful, they don't just forget. They get furious. After that loss, the Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II, yes, the same guy who conquered Constantinople, got personally angry. So he didn't just send another general. He came himself. That's like the final boss showing up because you beat his army. In 1476, Sultan Mehmed marched into Moldavia with an even bigger army. Stephen fought back, but this time it was harder. The Ottomans were prepared. Stephen lost an important battle called Vaslui Alp. Now you might think, okay, so that's it. He lost. But nope. Stephen didn't quit. Instead, he did what smart fighters do. He ran. Not because he was scared, but because he wanted to survive and fight another day. He hid in the mountains. He gathered more soldiers. He kept attacking the Ottomans in small surprise attacks. He kept stealing their supplies. He kept wearing them down. And slowly, the Ottomans started realizing something. Even if they won battles, they couldn't control Moldavia. They couldn't hold the land. They couldn't stay there safely. So eventually, they had to leave. And that's a big deal, because beating the Ottomans wasn't easy. But Stephen made them tired, frustrated, and defeated without even needing to destroy them completely. And this is why the Ottomans feared him. Because he was like a mosquito you can't catch. You slap, you miss. You chase, it disappears. But it keeps coming back. Now let's compare Stephen to Dracula again. Dracula was scary because he did horrible things to people. But Stephen? Stephen was scary because he was like a chess player. He thought ahead. He didn't just fight with a sword. He fought with plans. And he also knew something else that was super important. He knew you can't fight alone. So Stephen made alliances. Sometimes he worked with Poland. Sometimes he worked with Hungary. Sometimes he made deals. Sometimes he paid money to delay attacks. And you might think paying money sounds weak. But Stephen didn't do it because he was afraid. He did it to buy time. Because time meant more soldiers. Time meant more preparation. Time meant survival. And survival meant the Ottomans couldn't win. Stephen also understood something powerful about his people. He knew they needed hope. So after battles, he built churches and monasteries. Not just because he was religious, but because it made his people feel united. It made them feel like they were fighting for their home and their faith. It made them feel like they had a purpose. And when people have purpose, they don't give up easily. Stephen fought over 40 battles in his life. And he won most of them. That's insane. He ruled Moldavia for almost 50 years. That's a long time for a medieval ruler, especially when your neighbors are giant empires trying to crush you. Dracula, on the other hand, didn't rule as long. He lost his throne multiple times. He was powerful, but his rule was unstable. Stephen stayed strong. And here's the truth. The Ottoman Empire didn't fear Dracula because he was a monster. They feared him because he was unpredictable. But they feared Stephen the Great because he was consistent. He kept fighting. He kept winning. He kept surviving. And that is terrifying for an empire. Because an empire wants easy victories. They want to crush you fast and move on. But Stephen didn't let them. He turned every invasion into a painful, exhausting mess. So why don't most people know Stephen the Great today? Because Dracula became a legend. A vampire story. A spooky name everyone remembers. Stephen didn't get turned into a horror movie. He got turned into history. And history doesn't always get the spotlight it deserves. But make no mistake. If you were an Ottoman soldier back then, Dracula might scare you. But Stephen the Great? He would haunt your nightmares. Because he wasn't just scary. He was smart. And he never stopped fighting. So the big takeaway is this. Dracula was a terrifying man. But Stephen the Great was a terrifying problem. And problems are harder to defeat than monsters. If you enjoyed this story, hit like and subscribe, because the next video is even crazier, another ruler who stood up to the Ottomans and shocked the world. See you there.